North Carolina. Have a great day, and wishing you a fantastic Thanksgiving break as well.
Thank you, Geemon. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Hi, Arun. Hello, Harsh. Geemon here.
Hi, Geemon.
Nice to see you. It's been a few years since I last saw you at Sanjay's place.
Yeah, I just met Sanjay. I played golf with him just now.
Yeah, okay. So it's great to have you here, actually. Arun, let us know when we are going live, okay?
The earlier session is over?
Yeah, just got over. We had KPMG's head.
Yeah, I know.
You know, Arun. Yeah, great person. And he's actually a charter member at TiEcon. So it was great to have him. So we just finished that session.
So this is the last session? Is this the last session today?
No. We have 2 other sessions after this. Three sessions after this, but yours is the grand keynote. So we are ready for that.
Pressure on me. You're putting pressure on me, huh?
Why not? Why not?
We are live. We're going live now. We are already live.
Okay. So thank you, Arun, and thank you, Tai. Thank you, Harsh, for joining us here. So I'm going to actually, talk about this book called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Okay. A novel that...
Thank you, Geemon. So we have another set of storytelling by the master storyteller. Thank you, Harsh Mariwala. And let me call upon Geemon Korah once again from Kancor to introduce Harsh Mariwala. Over to you, Geemon.
Thank you, Arun. I'm going to talk about a book that was written in 1962. The book is titled One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was a novel written by Ken Kesey, and then it was later on made into a brilliant movie winning 5 Academy Awards, if I remember. That book was a tribute to individualistic principles. The protagonist, he was free-spirited, rebellious, standing up against bullying, and set an example for others to follow. We have this session titled One Flew Over the Coconut Tree. And we have our real life hero here who stood against the odds, against tides that could have drowned an ordinary man, against rivals, Goliaths, that threatened to take over the small fort that he was passionately building. And with a lot of sweat and toil, with a lot of passion. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present to you today's grand keynote speaker, Mr. Harsh Mariwala of Marico Industries and author of the book, Harsh Realities. Harsh, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to this August gathering, and my pleasure to be with all of you.
Harsh, when we were talking about inviting you to this particular event, and we tried to connect with you, and that's when your book was being released, and we all went ahead, bought the book, we read the book, and there was so much of connect there. And coming as I've worked with in the Mariwala family for almost 25 years, for me, those places which you mentioned, the factory at Alapi, the factory in Angamali, which I even visit regularly, even now, it brought back so many fond memories. So when I look at it that way, Harsh, one question that I have for you is, how would, I want to dwell on the emotions that you have gone through in your life, in your journey, through how you took Marico to what it is. And I know that for sure, like every entrepreneur, you would have had your ups and downs.
Yes.
How did you actually travel those paths and actually make your own path. We'd really like to hear from you rather from the book, you know.
So how much time do I have to answer this question? I can take 1 hour, I can take 2 minutes, I can make 20 minutes.
Harsh, it's up to you. You know, we have 1 hour in total. There are other questions too, but if you believe this is the real Harsh in you, please go ahead. The canvas is yours.
Yeah, because the question is very, shall I say, wide in terms of its coverage. It almost, you're asking me to describe my whole career and ups and downs in that. So to that extent, it's an open-ended question. So it shouldn't happen that I give a lot of time and then you're not left with any other question to ask me. That's the reason why I check with you. But nonetheless, I'll try and do it within 15 minutes or so. So for those who don't know me, I'm Harsh Mariwala. I'm based in Bombay, but we had our roots of our business in Kerala. And that's amply described in the book. My grandfather and great-granduncle, they visited Kerala. And I think our whole, shall I say, the start of our group's business started from Kerala with pepper and with copra. And pepper in Gujarati is known as Mari. So my grandfather started dealing in Mari, in pepper and exporting pepper. And that's how our surname changed from merchant to Mariwalas, because Mari is pepper and we were dealing in pepper. So I used to go also when I was young. I used to go to Kerala with my father many times. So I've been to all over. I've been to Angamali, I've been to Cochin, I've been to Calicut, Alleppey. And of course, then later on, we put up a factory in Kancor near Palakkad. So I visited there also many times. So I don't understand the language, but I'm familiar with Kerala because I've been there so many times. I must have been to Kerala at least 15, 20 times in my journey, or maybe more than that also. So then I did my schooling in Bombay. I have stayed all my life in Bombay, but my father and my uncles were managing this company, Bombay Oil Industries. And I had just finished my graduation. I didn't study anything further. I wanted to study further. I couldn't get into a MBA school abroad or in India. Also, those days, the MBA schools were very few. You know, we had this IIM Calcutta and Ahmedabad and Bajaj School of Management. And my father didn't allow me to go abroad to study. He was fearing, I don't know why. He said no, but I joined the family business. And I was the first person from the next generation to join the business. At that time, the company was Bombay Oil Industries. So my father made the transition from trading to manufacturing. My grandfather was trading in copra, other oil seeds, pepper, other spices. And then my father converted that into industry. So we had copra crushing and we had edible oil refining. And then in Angamali, we started processing spices and so started making oleoresins of spices, extracts of spices, which were exported. And we also started making chemicals from oils. So my father led that transition to manufacturing. But when I joined the organization, I realized that it was typically family managed organization where the whole company was managed by my father and my uncles. And of course, there were some other people who were helping them, but they were either some technical people or people who were related to us or acquaintances of family. And it was typically, all the decisions came to the family. I was let loose by my father to whatever we want to do. So there has not been anybody to guide me from day one. And because I had not studied, I had to explore and learn from others. But I was very clear that I wanted to do something different. We had an edible oil business, which was not doing well because the margins in edible oils manufacturing is very thin, the gross margins, and it all depended on what kind of, when you buy the raw materials and when you sold the raw materials, did you get into the right cycle in terms of buying and selling? And, we had these two brands, Saffola and Parachute, but nobody was paying attention to them. And most of our edible oil was sold in bulk or to other industries or in big tins in the market. And the retailer again would sell it in small, loose. So when I realized that, let me just go and start touring, because coconut oil also is available in pack, refined oil is also available in pack, and I convert that business from unbranded to branded. I think that's, I would say, one of the biggest, shall I say, initiatives that I took to build this business by doing it on my own. And I started traveling into interior markets. I started appointing distributors, was staying with many of our distributors because there were no hotels in small towns. And then, it came to creating brand awareness. So I appointed an ad agency and spent almost 1 week with them in terms of learning from them how advertising is created. So my grooming in business has been very much bottoms up by doing things which, I learned a lot by doing everything on my own. But when you expand, then you start recruiting talent, and that's the time I started learning a lot from professional talent. And every time I recruit somebody good, then I would learn more. The impact of that would be much better on business. So my belief in talent went on increasing, that the good talent pays off. And every time there is a vacancy, I would try and improve the quality standard of the talent which was there with us. Of course, it was very difficult to attract talent, being located in the heart of commodity markets in Mumbai, in Masjid Bandar, which is a very, very crowded locality. It's in port area, a lot of transport go downs, a lot of hand carts, trucks, no parking place, very dirty. So it would be very difficult to get good talent to come to the office. And, when many times I would call people for an interview and they would just run away before entering the office, saying that we don't want to go into this area which has such surroundings. So it was difficult, but as entrepreneurs, one doesn't give up. And I used to then call them to an external location at the Wellington Club, meet them once, twice, and then mentally prepare them and then get them to the office. So there are ways of overcoming, all these issues, and in the initial phases when we didn't even have talent, I used to work in the evening with individual consultants who helped me create HR systems. And then on marketing, I was working with a professor in IIM Ahmedabad. And he said that, okay, I don't mind working, but I only have time in the night. So you have to come by the evening flight and I'll spend 5-6 hours and we'll discuss up to 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And then you can go back in the morning. So those kind of crazy things I did to learn. But I think that was very rich because to me, learning has always been very crucial in improving my own journey. And the learning still continues till today. I have learned a lot from my own employees because I didn't have any qualification, nor did I study. I learned a lot from my other outside consultants, thought leaders. I attended a lot of short-term training programs. I learned a lot. I used to read a lot of books. So, and of course, some of the mistakes I did, they were great learning experiences for me. So all in all, I think as learning improved, my effectiveness in business also went on going up. We innovated the whole coconut oil that time was in tins, and we shifted that from tins to plastics. And again, a lot of opposition from the trade, but we did some unique things. And then, that shift from tin to plastic was a big event for us because our market share just jumped up and we became market leaders from a 15-20% market share. But there was a strong dealer resistance and we had to learn, we had to do a lot of work in terms of overcoming that resistance. But plastics is cheaper than tins. It is better looking than tins. It's more convenient to use compared to tins. So it made sense for us to get into plastic. Now the whole market is in plastics. So that, I think that just reinforced in me that the need to innovate, Because whenever you innovated something differently, you've seen a discontinuous impact on our sales. And my belief went on in the formative years of 10, 15 years in Bombay oil industry, which had 3-4 different businesses. My belief in talent and innovation went on increasing every time I did something innovative or every time I upgraded the quality of talent, So that, and at some stage, 3 of my cousins joined business and, Sanjay, my cousin, whom you work with. And then my father and 3 of the uncles. So like 6, 7 of us in the same company was tough, because we had 3 different businesses and there was a lot of dual reporting, not clarity in terms of roles, even allocation of resources amongst different businesses was not clear. So I was feeling very frustrated because I'm not able to attract talent. It was perceived to be a completely family managed organization. And I gathered my cousins, I said, we have to do something differently. We can't exist like that. Otherwise, all my ambitions, all my plans of growing will just not materialize. So we sat down and we debated what could we do for almost a year or so. And then we presented to our elder, that is my father and all the uncles. And it met with some resistance. because it was actually, we were suggesting that we break up the company into 4 different companies and each one would be managed by one youngster. So the fact that I had built up by then the consumer product business meant that I would be in charge of the consumer product business in a different company. Sanjay decided that he would look after the Kancor. That's how Kancor was formed. And I think it took 3 years for me to build that consensus. But looking back, I think that has been the most important decision in my life, because if I had not convinced the family, if I had not built that consensus, then we would have been having family issues, and the relationship would have got spoiled. So this was a great opportunity for me to attract talent and do things on my own. And then I started getting that kind of vision that what I want to be a leading FMCG player, because now that I have freedom, I was the only family member who was managing that business. So I had all the freedom to do whatever I want to do. Of course, I was accountable to the family. It was not an ownership split, it was a management split. So the shareholding in each of the subsidiaries which were formed to take care of each business were the same, like 25% each amongst 4 brothers, So, but it gave me a lot of freedom in terms of doing things. And we had to report to the family in terms of every quarter how the business was. So that was very, very liberating. And I think that gave me a great opportunity to build a very strong culture. And, because of my belief in the culture and talent, and innovation also, I wanted to build a company which was an innovative company, because innovation has to happen on a perpetual basis. You innovate something, and then it's a matter of time others will copy you. So you have to be 2 steps ahead of competition. And that's why you need perpetual innovation. Innovation doesn't happen just in R&D lab, but it happens across the organization. It's just not confined to new products. It's confined to new processes, new way of selling, new way of advertising, new way of manufacturing. And I wanted everybody in the organization to think innovation. So how you create an innovative culture was very, very crucial to me. And I said that if I have to have innovation, I have to have very good quality talent. So from that time onward, we started having a management training recruitment scheme. And we've been recruiting 15, 20 management trainees from very good schools of management every year. And this is very good talent, very young. They think differently. Then we said we want to have diversity. We just want to have diversity, just not management graduates, but engineering graduates, liberal arts. So we want diversity, brings in again innovation. And then we said that if they have to flourish, then we have to have an empowered organization. That means we have to empower them. So the organization hierarchies were cut down to the minimum. And that forced senior managers to delegate much more to younger people at a much younger age. So they were more empowered. So when you are putting in good talent, diverse talent in an open, trusting environment, and then empower them and then asking them to innovate, I think that's when you create an innovative culture. But it's also important that you encourage people to take risks, because innovation doesn't happen without failures. I've had multiple failures in my life. And but out of every failure, I've learned something. And that learning has been translated to something new, which we have done later on, which has benefited substantially. So my advice to all the entrepreneurs are that please don't be afraid to fail, And it's inevitable. Every person in this world has failures. It's a child. It's like a child walking, Child is not going to walk straight away. But when the age comes, whatever, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever age, many times the child will fall, So you have to equate with that, and it's okay to fail. But unfortunately, in the Indian society, failure is regarded as very negative. Oh my God, you failed. And then, people don't view it as learning. But I've always felt that it's okay to fail. And I think there is always some learning in that failure. So I think that's how we created an innovative organization. Whatever innovations we did in parachute coconut oil, we realized that in Bangladesh, the whole market is intense. Today, the whole market in India is plastics. And Bangladesh, the whole market was intense, but dominated by local markets. And whatever we did, and we did 3-4 innovations in packaging. We did that at a time in Bangladesh. And we went very aggressive because we had that confidence of doing it successful in India. So that happened. And within today we have 80% market share in the Bangladesh market. And we are the largest Indian company in Bangladesh. Only Indian company listed in Bangladesh, and it's doing extremely well. So we were able to successfully leverage that innovation in India to Bangladesh. But if I look at my own portfolio of products, in every product we are in, either we are market leaders, most of them we are market leaders in their own segment. So in Saffola, we are in premium edible oil. That's the segment we are. We are not in mass edible oil. We are at a premium healthy edible oil. So there we are market leaders. In Parachute, of course, we are market leaders. In hair oils, if you combine all the hair oils, which includes amla, aloe vera, Ayurvedic, we are jasmine. We are market leaders. We are market leaders in hair serums, hair gels, Revive, Kaya Skin Clinic. So name it, and we are market leaders in that particular segment. The one brand we bought, it's a small brand from Procter & Gamble for anti-lice shampoo, Medical. And we realized that we had an opportunity to be market leader in that particular segment. And then we realized that we could launch the same product in an oil format. So the sales increased substantially because a lot of people don't use shampoos, but they use oils, especially in rural areas. So again, that innovation, small thinking, consumer insighting is helped. But overall, I would say that I think three principles which I followed. One is that you need to perpetually innovate and pioneer your products. Number two, you have to go on investing in talent and culture building on a regular basis, and that's a very top-down effort. And number three, don't take shortcuts when it comes to compliances. It's very important to follow the rule of the law, because if you start taking shortcuts, then the whole organization will be taking shortcuts, and it will hit you at some stage. So always follow very, very high levels of governance, and governance beyond compliances in terms of what is right for the organization comes first. So if there is a very good performer who has done extremely well at some stage, is not able to cope up with the challenges in the job, then we don't reward the loyalty. We say that please now leave. We will give you a good package. We will treat you humanely, because it's not in the interest of the organization. And similarly, when it came to my stepping down as managing director about 6 years back, I thought I had not decided to step down, but the board felt that yes, you should give a chance to an outsider and not to your son. Then I stepped down. My son didn't step into my shoes. So because it was good for the organization. So we have followed this governance, and the whole governance subject now has got expanded to what is known as ESG, environment, society, and governance. So all in all, it's been a good journey. We went public in '96 at a market cap of 180 crores. And today, after how many years? 25 years or 26 years, I think we are at around 70,000 crores. So it's had a good, I think looking back, it was a good decision to go public. It is difficult. I'm not saying that but it puts in challenges. You have to manage short-term and long-term, but it has its own set of advantages also. You bring in that pressure within the organization, because at the senior level, there are ESOPs also. The senior level people also try to create wealth, So all in all, it's been a good journey, lots and lots of failures, lots and learnings. But as I said, I am very passionate about innovation, talent, and ESG, and that's what has led to this journey as far as Marico is concerned.
Thank you, Harsh. That kind of summarized quite a bit. And honestly speaking, when you summarized it: culture, talent, perpetual innovation, and compliance. 4 very key things to run an organization and make it successful. And couple of things which I actually looked at, as I was reading the book, is a very interesting take that you had on how you would innovate in packaging, because Marico was not the first to bring out the plastic packaging.
Yes.
And yet you are the one who actually succeeded by making the bottles round.
Yes.
Instead of square. And that's a huge, that's the kind of insight that has gone into innovation. And that kind of changed Marico to, Parachute into a household brand, literally. So,
yes.
That also means the kind of involvement that you are in the business? Because when you looked at coconut oil and you saw that in South people use it for a different purpose, in the North for a different purpose, Northeast for a different purpose. And to each market, there was a product offering that connected with people.
Yes.
Is this entirely because of your personal passion, or how did this come about?
So we believe that at least in FMCG products, and I think in every product, the consumer comes first, you know. You have to have a very strong understanding of consumers, their requirements, and, you know, then only you will succeed in business. And in our case, it's much more so. You have to go deep into consumers' mind. Many times the consumer, they themselves don't know what they want. And you have to dig that in and, you know, try and make them realize that there is some need which it is unsatisfied, and can you tap into that need, you know. So I think inciting plays a very, very important role in this journey. And just to give you an example, you know, when we launched our Saffola Masala Oats, we did profiling of taste profile for each state. Because each state has a different, they have a different taste profile. Some taste like Andhra, they like spicy food, maybe Gujarati like a little bit sweeter food. So we design and we had different flavors, different offerings for each state. Like in Tamil Nadu, we came with Pongal oats, and, you know, in Maharashtra, we came with Pav Bhaji oats and things like that. So I think you have to go deep into consumers' mind and then find out what they want. And I think tailor make your offering to the consumer need, you know. There is no shortcut to that. You know, you can do some market research. I'm not saying no to market research. But that personal consumer inciting is very, very important. You know, you have to understand from the consumer, and that's what we do. We, not only the marketing team, but our R&D team and developing product, they are constantly in touch with consumers in terms of their preferences. They incorporate the suggestions in that particular product, like what I was talking about, the oats. And then I think what comes out is matching what the consumer needs most of the time. Sometimes you can go wrong, but I think that in-depth understanding of consumer inciting consumer needs is very, very critical. And I personally think that every business has to devote much more time to, of course, some of the businesses are B2B businesses. So there the consumer inciting would be a little bit different. But otherwise, if you're dealing with the consumer, then, you know, there is no shortcut to consumer inciting.
So this brings us to an interesting thought, because you have so many, you mentioned that when you wanted to do your MBA, there were hardly any MBA colleges or universities offering MBA courses. But today, there are dime a dozen.
Yes.
And you have several MBA graduates coming out, and all of them want to be the CEO in the next 2 years, 3 years.
Yes.
Without spending time in the market to understand or get these insights.
Yes.
So do you think the management education from our, and this is a question that has come from the audience, is also that, do you think the current management education from our Indian MBA colleges, leaving aside the IIMs and a few others, is still relevant to the industry requirements? Or is there a large gap with the real life application of what has been currently taught?
Frankly, I'm not fully equipped to answer that question, because I mean, we recruit at least from only reputed management schools. So I'm not familiar with what happens in other schools of management. Our entry comes in from IIMs and Nursing Mohanji and, you know, SPJ and those kind of schools. And we target only the top 10, 20 schools which are listed in that listing. But the other schools, frankly, I'm not familiar what gets churned out of the schools. So I think I may refrain from answering the question. I don't want to just make a guess. But separately, I strongly feel that I think the curriculum and the way management is taught has to change. And I think they don't spend as much time in terms of dealing with people issues, leadership styles. I think these are very, very important in any organization. What kind of leadership style is the most effective? And I have seen that it doesn't get taught so much in management schools. So the whole world has changed so much. Technology is coming in. I don't see that the management schools are bringing in all the changes. Even teaching innovation, how to innovate, how to create culture. These are not taught in management schools. Of course, I mean, they've taken some case studies like Harvard, but I wish that a lot more depth would go into creating curriculum and also attracting good talent, because I don't know whether are we equipping our management school with best quality teachers. And if you go abroad, most of those who teach, they consult a lot also. And their main source of income is consulting and not teaching. But teaching gives them that image, and consulting gives them that opportunity because of that image. And it's a combination of teaching and consulting. And again, because they consult, they're able to apply that back to the teaching. So the need to be in touch with industry, with trade, with whoever is very, very important, because that's where the teachers would learn a lot, if you're consulting with somebody. And then they can again apply it back to what they are teaching. I see that, I really don't see too many professors who are consultants. There may be a few, I'm not saying no, but compared to abroad, it's very few.
Harsh, there's one very interesting thing about innovation and how you've gone about innovation. Of course, the story of Parachute is very well known. Probably lesser known is the story of Saffola and how you transformed it from just being a cooking oil to creating that health consciousness.
Yes.
So how did you actually connect with that thought process? Because that is something very transformational, not just for you as a business model, but for the entire industry. And I guess that's probably one of the first, cooking oils that actually came out with this claim. So how did that happen, Harsh? If you can shed some light on that.
So those days, I'm talking of in mid-60s, 70s, there was a medical opinion that safflower oil is good for the heart, So we were able to incorporate that under the brand name Saffola. And from the time I started taking a thought leadership platform while promoting Saffola. So we would do a lot of things which would talk of leading a healthy lifestyle. We had a booklet which you would give it free. We would have heart care camps. We would educate the customer to lead a healthy lifestyle and not just eat the Saffola oil. And I think that really helped the brand take that thought leadership platform, because we have Saffola Healthy Heart Foundation, where we do lots and lots of things, and we tell people how to reduce cholesterol, go have healthy habits. We have cholesterol checkup camps. We have customized diets, because, if you're a South Indian, then you're not going to eat a diet which is non-South Indian. So how can you customize diet? If you phone up, then we tell you, okay, why don't you change the diet so that your lifestyle is improved? Because most of our diseases of today, whether it is heart or diabetes or anything related to overweight is actually to do with these are lifestyle diseases, because we are not living the life as we should be living. And it's important to control weight, it's important to exercise, important to control your stress, anxiety. So if you lead a healthy lifestyle, then the need for you to be hospitalized will be much, much lower. And I think that's what we try to tell all the customers, whether they were Saffola users or not users. So the brand really was at a pedestal from that point of view. And that also helped us get a higher pricing. And then we said that, with this such a strong brand, we have to get into foods, healthy foods. So we went into Saffola plain oats first. And we had about 10-15% market share. And we were struggling to increase market share because we didn't have a differentiator compared to a Kellogg's or a Quaker. So we said that now, what do we do? And then again, out of consumer insighting, this thought came in that Indians like savory breakfast. They don't like sweet breakfast. If you were selling plain oats, then it would get made into a sweet oats with banana or something else, sugar and all. But if you look at the breakfast habits, in South, you'll have idli dosa, or in the North, you'll have aloo paratha. So everybody is more savory. So we said that can we do what Maggi did to noodles in terms of have a range of savory oats. And that's how we came up with a range of Saffola masala oats. And that category has grown in the last 4 or 5 years. It's today, I think, roughly about 300 crores category. And we have an 80% market share in that category, much higher than Kellogg's and Quaker, because we innovated and because we were in touch with the consumer and because we went overboard in terms of the taste profile. No, just to give you an example, we learned that through a mistake. This taste, because Saffola, about 8 or 10 years back, we had launched Saffola baked snacks only in Mumbai, but they were baked, not fried. And we were the first one to do it about 10 or 12 years back. But we thought that it is under Saffola brand name, so it has to be healthy. So we gave preference to health over taste. And in an impulsive category like snacks, people they want taste first. Not, of course, it has to be healthy, but not health, not at the cost of taste. And we thought health has to be very, very good. So from that learning, we incorporated that and, applied. We over-engineered our oats. We over-invested in the oats in terms of understanding the taste profile, which has really worked. So to some extent, many times whenever we failed, we have had something else which is much bigger because we've learned from that mistake.
This is so very interesting because I still remember when Quaker or Kellogg's came first to India, they were saying that we are going to change the breakfast habits of Indians. And today, 15 years or 20 years down the line, they have upma.
Yes,
and,
yes.
So we changed them rather than that's how powerful taste as a sensory.
Yeah, it's very difficult to change taste. I mean, it's okay. Some cases you may go in from mithai to chocolates and things like that, but still, the Indian part still remains.
Yeah, and when we actually look at the journey of Marico and the kind of investments that have gone in, you actually operated like a startup in many cases. Actually, the startup, much before the startup term actually came to fore itself.
Mm-hmm.
So through that there has been a lot of learnings for you. And today now you have startups all over the world, all over the country, all over Bombay and all the cities. We have hundreds and thousands of startups everywhere. Probably around 60-70% of them don't see 2 or 3 years down the line, they don't exist. But 30-35% do continue to remain. And these are the ones which are resilient, which create some differentiation. And they're not afraid to take the risk, and they get up from their failures and keep going on. And as I read your book, I've also seen that happen. You've gone through, you've stuck to a certain portfolio of products, and now you have also started investing in startups.
Yes.
One very interesting question that has come up is, you all your life you've been in commodities and oils, and data is the new oil. So how is it that you haven't started investing in IT or data? Just a question I thought would be interesting to pick your brain on that.
So I am a strong believer in focus. Just because it is the flavor of the month or the flavor of the year or the flavor of the decade, you don't need to do it because there is potential for you to do. You have that right to win. I am not a technologically savvy person, frankly. And my understanding of technology is relatively much, much poorer than most of you who would be listening to this episode, So I have to realize my strength and, leverage my strengths in what I understand, what I know best. And I think my strengths are in understanding consumer needs in the area of beauty and wellness. And I mean, edible oil forms a small percentage of our business today. We have many other brands which are beyond edible oils. So, and we've gone into more and more value added, and that's going to continue. We've acquired products like Beardo, which is for beards. We have Just Herb, which is Ayurvedic personal care company. We have Revive. We have a whole range of Nihar oils. So, and then we have over 23% of our turnover coming in from international markets, wherein we acquired companies in Egypt, in South Africa, in Vietnam, in completely different fields. So we have diversified beyond the starting point of the oil, but to get into data and all, it's easier said than done. I don't think we are equipped to do that. But separately, as you were mentioning, we are investors, and that my son is looking after the investment office, and he's done exceedingly well. He has invested in companies like Nykaa. I mean, he took a big punt on that company in Series B. And I can't imagine the kind of money which this company has generated. I'm beyond my imagination. I told my son, I never made this kind of money in my first 4-5 years of my journey. So, and also Mama Earth and many other consumer-facing companies, he's invested. So that I think is thriving. But I think that's what he wanted to do, and he wanted to establish his own, shall I say, stamp of a certain legacy, which he, just like I created an FMCG company in Marico, he wanted to create something else, and which he's enjoying doing. And I think each one, even I want to say that each one is blessed with a certain, shall I say, God-given gift. And the key thing for each of us is to know what is that God-given gift. Many of us don't know also what is the God-given gift. And, we don't even realize that we've been gifted with something. But others are watching us and they think that, okay, you have this gift, So the key thing I always tell people, students, whenever I meet anybody, is that please identify God-given gift and leverage them in whatever you do in your career, in your business. Because if you are able to leverage your God-given gift, normally you are good at that. You're passionate about it and you'll enjoy that journey because, you're very good at it. So it's very important to leverage your God-given gift in building a career or business which is based on that, rather than because it is somebody else is doing it or because that particular sector is growing very fast.
That brings me to a very interesting point. You just mentioned about the kind of valuations these new companies are getting. And, the startups now, the kind of valuations they're getting is something which probably we could not have imagined a few years back. So is this a kind of a sustainable way of business and, with these kind of valuations, and what would your word of advice be to investors there?
Frankly, I'm not an expert on valuation, but it amazes me the kind of valuation, especially many other companies. Nykaa is making profits at least, but many other companies, the more their turnover increase, the more losses increase, And at what stage will they turn around is something which I'm not able to understand. Maybe it's much more longer time frame than what I think they are going after growth, which is good. They grow. Yesterday only I was talking to this founder of Swiggy. And they are going to go public. He is quite sure we'll make money, but over a longer period of time, So the time frames are much different from my time frames in our kind of old age business. But I reckon that the market sees value in this high growth, and they've grown by. He was saying we were growing at sometimes twice, double, treble every year, And to manage that growth is tough, But I agree that the valuation has to reflect, it has to be based on cash flows, it has to be based on profitability. There are a lot of people funding them, but I hope, and I'm sure with so many unicorns being there, it may just be a matter of time. And at that particular time when that turnaround occurs, when they start making profits, maybe they'll make huge amount of profits, so they may be able to leverage their data. I don't know what, but frankly, I'm not an expert on the subject.
And I guess these days it's also about storytelling. It's about how you can convince your investors of how solid your business model is.
And all of them are young guys, they are in the age of 30, 40. Yesterday I was a part of a conclave, which we had organized it. We had all these youngsters, very young guys, from Vedantu, somebody was there, and somebody from Razorpay, and like 30, 35-year-old, and Ajit Nair from Nykaa was there. I am shocked, I'm amazed at their energy, at what they've created. And I, for one, believe that this is going to lead to a huge number of entrepreneurial increase in activities. In the last 10 years, I think we had 80 unicorns, and out of 80, 40 have come in the last 1 year.
That's correct.
So can you imagine that? And that is going to increase further and further as we go forward. So this is going to be something else. Of course, many of them will fail. Some of them, like Paytm, they started and the prices fell. But nonetheless, the journey and the direction is very, very exciting.
That's, I think the business model, which we used to have about 15 years back, and the business models that currently are quite different. And people are getting used to the new way of doing things and the new world of business. That brings me to a very important question on Kerala. And there has been a lot of, discussions and debates and deliberations on the kind of industries that can operate in Kerala, the challenges of operating in Kerala. So I come back to your decision of your investment in Keynote and how actually you made a success out of it when many people were actually getting out of the state. Yeah. So here you have, an amazing story to tell, and I think everybody should listen to it from you.
Yeah, I think it's a good story. I'm also very proud of what we did in Kerala. And around the beginning of, in the early 90s, we transferred the business from Bombay Oil Industries to Marico. And, until then, we had a manufacturing was based in very old plants in Bombay. And we had to establish a new factory. We were also sourcing from one of our other sister companies from Calicut. But we needed a very modern factory. And the decision to put up a factory was taken. And then where to locate the factory was the key decision which we needed to finalize. Now, when I started talking to the family, when I started talking to some of my friends, everybody advised me that please don't go to Kerala. Because from a logistics point of view, from the point of view of cost structure, Kerala came out to be the best in that analysis between different states. Because we were establishing a factory in the Korah growing areas, the sales tax or the purchase tax for buying was much lower at that time in the state than some other state. So it made absolute financial sense to be in Kerala. And when I told everybody started laughing and said, you're a fool. You will repent. It's on paper and nothing else. You will just burn your fingers and forget about making money. You lose money because half the time your factory will be closed. So that was the reputation in Kerala at that particular point of time. I'm talking of 93, 94. So then my HR head, Keralite, he is accelerating and that time. And he says, no, I will prove all these people wrong. So my HR and my operations head, they said that give us a chance. We will go and visit Kerala and we'll come back with why we should invest in Kerala and how we should do it differently. Now, the key insight they captured after visiting was that in a factory in Kerala, especially in rural areas, when you employ laborers, they get bored. After work, there's nothing to do. So what happens? They join a trade union and their energies are diverted into some sort of a negative zone. There is a lot of fatigue also in doing the same work again and again. So we said that, can we overcome that? So that was the key insight. So we did the following. First of all, we said, okay, we want to go to Kerala. That's a very good insight. We decided that we will recruit fresh talent, and we will not only evaluate the person, but we'll go to their houses, meet their parents, and give some background of what we are in terms of a company and that we are fair and we're not going to exploit you and things like that. So that overall background impression was created. And then we said that we had 3 or 4 different parts of the factory, like one filling and crushing, and we will train people, multi-skill them so that they will go on rotating on a regular basis. So every 1 or 2 or 3 months, the same guy who was in crushing, then he will go to filling and go to some other packing department. And I think that one insight helped us in terms of overcoming the monotony of doing the same work again and again. So every time a person does something, there is some learning, there is some change. So it breaks that monotony of repetitiveness. Then we said that after office, how do we keep them occupied? So we planned the whole thing in such a way. We had taken a big estate in part of Kerala State Industrial Development Corporation, Kancor, and we had a lot of land. And we said that let's use this land for purposes where we can gainfully keep them busy. So we had a lot of sports there. We had music, we had crafts, we had dancing. So basically spend a lot of time and give a lot of opportunity to the youth to keep themselves busy in something which they would enjoy doing. So if you are very keen on sports, you would do something in sports. If you are more interested in doing a drama, you would join that drama group. So that flexibility was given to individuals to do whatever they want to do. And I think that really played an important role, in terms of keeping their minds occupied, and they were also enjoying the life beyond just working. And then we said, then how can we still better that? So we we divided the whole factory into 4 different houses, like you have it in the school, like, red, green, blue, yellow, whatever. And then let's have competition for each of the activity amongst different houses. So, I mean, with that, we went in Kerala and we absolutely smooth. There was, for first 3-4 years, there was not even a union. Then there was a union which was formed, but we had, I mean, we didn't have any loss of manufacturing. And I think looking back, the decision to invest in Kerala proved a huge benefit to the organization because we saved so much of costs being located there and lower taxes. And because it was an innovative approach, we did it innovatively and we ensured that we treated our laborers well. And it paid us back hugely. So, I mean, people look at HR only from the point of view of recruitment, but HR's role can actually be much more effective in adding value and also adding to profits, and selecting the right talent and things like that. So it was a good decision. I mean, the payback has been huge, the decision to go in Kerala, but it had to be done in a certain manner. It had to be differentiated compared to what others were doing.
That is an unbelievably fantastic insight for all those who are listening here as well, because we have this negative connotation about investments in Kerala and what more can we do to actually fix these problems. I think you just opened the doors wide and let everybody start thinking along these lines. That Harsh was very insightful, and I'm sure many of us listening here, many of our delegates and participants here will have something to take back.
Geemon, I have covered all these, whatever I've been talking about this and many other stories which I mentioned in much more detail in my book. And, when I started the book, the whole objective was to give something back to the society. Book is not a financial, I mean, it's a huge drain financially, actually, in terms of the cost of book and all that. But my whole objective of writing the book was to give something back in terms of learning. And when I started the book, I thought my target group should be entrepreneurs for the professionals. But when the book was released on 30th July, and when I started giving it to management schools, amazing response. 3 of the schools, I sent it to their professors. IIM, Bangalore, SP Jain School, and Indian School of Business. All of them, they want to write a case study. So, and students also very much interested. I've been talking to many schools, especially where we recruit from. And then I gave it to many of my friends, their wives. So I am so confident today that there is a lot of take-home value in the book for anybody who is interested in improving. Whether it's an entrepreneur, whether it's a professional, or whether it's a student, or even a housewife. And the book is in a very light story format. And, you can finish reading it within maybe a few hours. And the best part is, it's at one level, it's a story, but at the same time, my co-author, Professor Ramcharan, who is a renowned management guru, he's written something like 30 books selling more than, I think, 3 or 4 million copies. He has added his bit at the end of every chapter in terms of summarizing what are the learnings. I think that's what has made the book interesting. It's a bestseller. Yeah, that's the book which,
Yeah.
I think you would hold it from a certain distance, just to hold. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. So
I actually is very innovative, but all in all, I'm very happy.
I actually finished the book in 3 hours, Harsh. It was so engrossing and it was wonderful. And you actually answered my next question, which I don't have to answer now, as to why you wrote the book. So you already answered that.
But I can add 1 or 2 things. when the book was written, the pandemic came, and the pandemic, and we were stuck at home. So me and my wife not allowed to go out, lockdown and seeing the first wave. And then she said, "I'm not happy with the book. I'll help you." So, and she added a lot of emotional element in the book, which has really added a lot of value to the book. And also a lot of anecdotes, which I had not thought of, we put in. So I think the pandemic really helped us improve the quality of the book. But then we said that, okay, the book name. And then again, I went back to my entrepreneurial community and asked for suggestion. And the name, I love the name, and everybody, I think it's a pun on my name. And then when it came to cover design, normally you go to the publisher, but I went to a specialist, a lady who just designs book covers. And she read the book and she said that, okay, the book has to reflect what is written inside. The book has to reflect you. So if you see the cover of the book, it is very simple. It is transparent and it is innovative. And that's me as a person also, you know. So I think we've done a lot of, shall I say, thought into the name of the book as well as the cover of the book. And I'm happy the way it's turned out. And I think most importantly, when I hear from others that they have learned something from the book, I really feel good about it.
There is so much to learn from that book, Harsh. And honestly, you mentioned the word transparency, and that comes out clearly on the cover as well. And that's who you are as a person. So thank you so much for actually writing that book for people like us and many who are going to be reading that book. It will be an amazing journey to read through that and share your experiences as they flip the pages. I have time for one last question, and that's going to be, what next for Marico?
So, I've always thought that my role is to build an institution. And in building that institution, even if I'm not there, the institution should continue without me. And to that extent, perpetuity is very important. And I need to create mechanisms where, you have to create the right systems, the right processes, the right mechanisms for the company to flourish from a long-term point of view. So I've spent a lot of effort in doing so in terms of what has been the purpose of the organization, and that's shared within the organization. What is the strategy of the organization, and what is the culture of the organization? And I've built a strong board of directors, which play that role in measuring this. So it's very important that business continues, and dependence on me has already gone down substantially. And tomorrow, even if I'm just now, also, even if I'm out for 1 or 2 months, I'll not get a single phone call. But I know what exactly is happening. My whole job is to add value to the company in terms of whatever thoughts I have, and just to ensure that things are on track. What next? I think it'll continue. The growth journey has to continue. Growth to me is very important. Growth is like oxygen for any business. Growth has to happen. If the growth doesn't happen, then people will not get excited down the line. So it will grow. We would like to be in the top quartile of the FMCG industry in terms of growth. It has to be, ultimately, growth has to result in profits. And more importantly, we have to add value to all our stakeholders and not just shareholders. And I think that's our purpose, to make a difference on a daily basis to all our stakeholders.
Harsh, thank you so much for joining us. And I believe, I could go on with you for another hour and still would not have touched the tip of the iceberg in terms of the learnings that have you been through this journey. But thank you so much for sharing those experiences. It's been wonderful. And I have had great joy reading that book. I'm sure everybody who's going to be buying that book and who's already bought that book and still not read, I think you should do it right now. That's my...
Thank you, Geemon, and all the best to all of you. And enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.